Juraj Slafkovsky finally breaks his silence since hardly speaking to the media since his injury. We'll be talking about what he said, plus the Habs make some unexpected calls from Laval for the final 2 games of the season, and finally, we have a stat showing that the Habs might be the single most injured team since the year 2000, so you won't want to miss this edition of Habs Digest. Hello, bonjour, ahoy, and welcome to today's news edition of Habs Digest. I'm your host, Josh Gosse, alongside my co-host, Jesse Poirier, and a quick reminder to hit subscribe if you haven't already. We're so close to 5,000 subs. The season's almost over, but you guys have been with us the whole way. We really appreciate it, but if you haven't hit that button yet, do it now. We love your support. Jesse, it's time to break out the animation that we haven't seen in a while. Juraj Slafkovsky breaks his silence on what he needs to improve on, and the long-awaited return of Slafzilla. Oh, there he is. It's so good to see him again, Jesse. Slafkovsky finally took the ice yesterday after himself saying he hasn't skated since mid-January, but it's amazing to see him out there, and the media, of course, was asking him some questions. So let's take a look at what he said. Talking about his development and knowing what he needs to do going into next year, he said, quote, "I know what I need to work on, what type of player I am, my size and everything. I just need to make it all work together. In this league, it's very specific. I'm trying to find a balance between all the things I can do, and the coaches are helping me find the best version of myself." And then he said, "I'm a big guy who has to use this size, use all the skills I have. I think I'd still score some goals. We'll see. I just want to be the best team player and win as many games as we can." I think this is like just an amazing quote to hear from Slafkovsky. It really seems like he wants to come back a really complete player next year, and it really seems like the coaching staff is on his side.
Absolutely. And it seems like he knows what he needs to do. And it's so nice, Josh, just to feel that he's getting this coaching, even though he's not on the ice, that he's getting that development, that coaching all the same from Adam Nichols, etc. And this is great to see already that our added emphasis on development is already, bearing positive results, as we're seeing that even though he's not on the ice, he's getting attention from a lot of coaches telling him the things that he needs to improve on. None of which being more important, seeming from his comments, that he needs to use his size a little bit more. That maybe that's something that he didn't use enough of last year. And I'm telling you what, guys, it's like we called him Slafzilla for a reason.
Again,
once he starts to use his size on the ice, like, it's going to be scary out there. Like, he's going to be terrorizing the streets of Montreal shortly. Well, actually, he's going back to Slovenia for a little bit before coming back to Montreal to get ready for the season. But he is just going to terrorize people when he starts to use that skill along with that frame. It's going to be a really great combination to see.
I mean, you're right, and it's not just Habs fans, Habs staff, everything related to the Habs that are saying this. There's an article on The Athletic revisiting last year's draft to say who's number one. And the author, who I'm not sure the author at this time, but you see here, they say, "A year later, I still think Slafkovsky was the right choice at number one, but by the narrowest of margins." We ignore that. He says he has the most unique and appealing toolkit of the group. Talking about, of course, Slafkovsky, Nemitz, Wright, Xhekaj, Guhle. He's between his 6'4" frame, his strong skating, a very high skill level, and some goal-scoring touch. It's a rare combination. He goes on to say that Xhekaj has the size and skill, but not the skating. Guhle has great skating and puck play, both better than Slav, but he's 6 inches shorter. Wright exceeds Slav in hockey sense, is more of a two-way player, but trails him notably in size and skill. Jesse, basically, Slafkovsky does a bit of everything, and like you mentioned, when he starts to use that size, he'll be able to dominate the league. What do you think, like, Adam Nichols and even the Habs coaching staff have done to help him even mentally? Because you could see maybe sometimes this year his mental hurdles were getting the best of him, maybe making more of a nervous play than the correct play, not keeping his head up as much. That's not really something you need to be on the ice to do. And as you mentioned, a lot of this coaching has gone on off the ice. But with this big gap between skating, how much do you think this is going to impact him this offseason now that he can kind of put 2 and 2 together, use the stuff he's learned the last few months while back on the ice? Because I think this is going to be amazing to see come September.
That's so true. Obviously he's just a really naturally gifted hockey player. He's just a specimen bred to really just play amazing hockey. What's really lacking right now in his game, I feel, is just a little bit more of that hockey sense. So while people are saying like, oh, it's such a tremendous tragedy that, he hasn't been able to play the second half of the season, I would argue that his opportunity to be able to watch the game from higher up to get another perspective, we know he has the physical gifts. It's more, I feel, just the overall game sense, added with, the quicker game of the North American hockey. I feel just having a little bit more time to process that, to look at that, is going to benefit him just so much. And he's going to come into next year just, a little bit more of a smarter and also talented hockey player.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, I'm sure everyone's excited just to see him back out there, hear him speak again. And we've seen him some behind the scenes things, but the Slav show, it's gonna happen come next year. Super excited to see what's to come. Topic 2 today. The Habs are giving some Rocket players a shot in a somewhat surprising move. Kent Hughes and the Montreal Canadiens have decided to call up Joel Teasdale and Frédéric Allard on an emergency recall basis from the Laval Rocket. Teasdale being a center. Frédéric Allard played one game for the Habs earlier this season after being traded for from the Ducks. He played one game on the Habs West Coast road trip. Looked like he was fine on the ice and immediately sent back down to Laval. But Jesse, this is pretty cool because as we saw the other day, the Habs sent down Raphael Harvey-Pinard, Corey Schueneman, Jesse Ylönen, Kaiden Primeau. They're all back down with Laval to help them with their playoff push. They know that these guys aren't really going to impact Montreal for the last 2 games of the season. So I think it's really awesome to see that guys like Teasdale and Allard, who have shown that they're very good at the AHL level, are getting some of their first, well, maybe not in Allard's case, but, some early NHL experience.
Absolutely. It's really nice. We obviously need the reinforcements right now, but yeah. Joel Teasdale's been having a great year as well, stepping up in the absence of many players as well, showing a lot of versatility. It's really nice just to hear about some of these prospects like Joel, where we're reading about them, we're watching them for years, and now to finally get to see them kind of come to the NHL. Frédéric Allard as well, he's showing that he has some offensive talent as well. So he's going to be really happy to get a chance at the NHL again, just to show what he's working on. And it's a nice little trade, right? Is that we're putting a little bit more emphasis on the Laval Rocket right now, which needs some help right away. RHP, Ylönen and everybody else is tearing it up right away. So I do think that they will make the playoffs with this amazing help. Just if RHP wasn't such an amazing player, I wouldn't think so. But I think he's good enough to really take them over the top right now. And then, we're getting a look from some young players as well in the organization. So definitely a win-win.
Yeah, win-win for sure. And I think to me, Jesse, it creates a big, almost a sense of chemistry, camaraderie within the whole organization, right? I feel like that jump from Laval to Montreal at this point after this season is really not much of a jump at all, at least from a cultural standpoint, because so many guys have been going up and down this whole season. You got to think that they're sharing some of the news with the other guys, telling them what to expect, and Teasdale and Allard are going to get some of the best advice they can from RHP, Ylönen, and the other guys. But it's cool to see that the Montreal Canadiens really care about Laval's performance. And the guy's first game down in Laval, Kaiden Primeau gets a shutout in a 4-0 win where Harvey-Pinard scores. Ylönen scores on a rocket, assisted by Anthony Richard, who also played with the Habs this year. Corey Schueneman tallies an assist. Even Simoneau, who's had 30 assists this year. It's just cool. An immediate impact, like you said. They went down and are doing this for Laval. And Jesse, they will make the playoffs. They'll have a little 4-5 playoff first, and then if they win that 4-5 playoff, they'll get to face the Marlies in the first round. So I don't know. You think we should do some game recaps? I'm pretty excited to see Rocket versus Marlies in the playoffs, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm definitely down for that. We got to do some recaps of that for sure.
Yeah, I think so. That'll be pretty interesting. So we'll keep you updated on Laval's season as we go on in the coming weeks. Final topic today, Jesse. This one's interesting. The Habs might be the most injured team since 2000. So I saw this tweet today from NHL Injury Viz, who's an amazing Twitterer follow if you haven't followed them already. But they said, the number of times leading the league for most man games lost in a season since 2000-2001, Montreal has led the league since 2000 6 times in man games lost. And second place is a bunch of teams with 2. No other team's done it more than twice, Jesse. Here's a bit of a graph to show you. The top means most man games lost. You can see the Habs being over 600 last year, over 550 this year. Mind you, this doesn't include Price and Weber. So, we've said that maybe the Habs are just unlucky, but the fact that it's been 6 times since 2000, is that not just shocking to you?
It is, and to cap that off of last year of having the most injuries ever in any NHL season. So yeah, it has been a consistent thing. Any Habs fan for a while, as we've definitely noticed this trend. So it definitely seems like it is something systemic. It's so hard to kind of quite put your finger on quite what that is. And I really hope that Kent Hughes has more of a pulse on how to best address the situation. I think though that changing of the management, it just kind of shows how it was so important for us to get a new GM, to get a new vice president of hockey operations, everything else, to address these issues, which are quite important and quite significant.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I know a lot of people are saying, like, oh, Habs are unlucky. Now, to be fair, let's take a look. It's not like it's been an insane constant trend. You can see before these last 2 years, the Habs were average or even above average in keeping players healthy. But the fact that they've been up so high so many times since 2000 is a bit worrying. Like you said, it's something for the staff to look into. There's a lot of things that can go on there. But all the same, you got to also think that if the Habs weren't in like years where they don't care necessarily about making the playoffs, like if they weren't in a tank year like this year, maybe these guys would be getting some more time. They'd be playing through injuries. Like even Caufield said he could have played through. I mean, I assume that plays a bit of a role. What do you think? At least just in the last 2 years.
It does, definitely. If there's anybody that shouldn't be playing through injuries anymore, it's Sean Monahan.
Oh
He's definitely done enough of that already. So even though I think we have tried to soldier on, but yeah, that definitely does absolutely play a factor into this is, we're trying to err on the side of caution when we can, and which is what makes me think that to start off next year that we're going to start off really healthy. And it'd be great if we could just use this really as a reset. And that's what's nice about rebuilding this year is it's not just the draft picks, but it's really just putting your team in a place, nursing those injuries so that when you are ready to compete, when that window is a little bit more there, that you're ready to do so. So I'm definitely very happy about that.
100%. Well put. That'll do it for this news edition of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Help us hit 5,000. Guys, we're so close. Like, we can feel it, right? 5,000 is right there. Help us reach that goal. It'd be really appreciated. I'm Josh Gosse, for my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.